I recently watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I went this weekend to see it in theaters. It was a packed theater, which automatically kind of told me this was going to be a really fun experience. It was also way more crowded than when I saw The Nun 2 in IMAX. I didn't go to see this in the largest format. I saw it in a really large theater, so it definitely was a great experience overall. But I think the big thing about Five Nights at Freddy's is it is a fun movie, and it's good to see with people. Now, this is not a cinematic masterpiece by any means. In fact, I consider this movie one of those so bad it's good movies, which is a rare good thing when they come around. It offers a good time, especially when you approach it with the right mindset. And this film, courtesy of Blumhouse, embarks on delivering a fun experience with a really cool IP backing it. And I can appreciate that. A lot of people do, obviously. It opened to one of the highest openings ever in Blumhouse's history. And this movie's had a lot of anticipation. The Five Nights at Freddy's game is really huge, and people have been waiting for this movie for a while. Now, I didn't set my expectations too high with this movie. I believe Blumhouse can create great films, and I understood that Five Nights at Freddy's belongs to a particular genre and serves a specific audience. After all, it's based on a decade-old mobile app that I remember playing as a kid and really liking, and, I was not expecting this to be a great, excellent movie, and the trailers kind of told me that. After all, movies like The Exorcist, Believer, and The Nun 2, those left me disappointed, and Megan, while not as boring, that didn't really blow me away either. And this film, I wish it had a little more life to it, but it does successfully blend various elements, even if some of them feel a bit recycled. Movies like Five Nights at Freddy's or those films featuring killer dolls are at their best when they embrace a certain level of silliness. And it's clear that the film's primary goal is to provide an enjoyable experience rather than dwell on darker and more serious aspects. And I feel that, if, the script or Scott Cawthorne went into it and tried to make it darker or more, serious, it wouldn't have been as good. The game's simplicity, which involves you as a security guard monitoring a store, might appear straightforward, and translating it into a movie is no small feat given the game's complex lore. In this adaptation, they've taken liberties with the storytelling to fit a PG-13 rating, and they've omitted several crucial scenes that I think, would probably help the movie. I don't think they necessarily need it. I just think the result is something that's so convoluted. The narrative is not really confusing, but it requires you to really think a lot, when this movie would just be good if there was a simple premise: a guard going to a pizza store, and over 5 nights you see what happens. But there's so much more to the narrative, and it is a bit messy. And it's not great, but it's incredibly quirky and entertaining. I found myself liking some of the unconventional choices the filmmakers made. And, even if some of the characters feel underdeveloped, I won't really criticize that. For instance, Elizabeth Lail's character, Vanessa, a police officer, she plays a pivotal role in the story, but her character really lacks depth, and she just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it feels a little awkward that she just suddenly appears in the story. Similarly, Josh Hutcherson's character doesn't really receive a ton of development either, and the interactions between him and this cop and even his little sister come off as wooden and at times unintentionally funny. The film's attempts to add emotional weight to certain scenes can feel artificial, but somehow it does work, and you're going to find yourself entertained by its absurdity. I thought that Five Nights at Freddy's could have embraced its cheesy, over-the-top nature a bit more, which in my opinion would have elevated the overall experience. Instead, it leans more towards horror than horror comedy, which, given its niche plot, occasionally results in unintentional silliness. I really thought that Willy's Wonderland, a Nicolas Cage movie from 2021, which I really enjoyed, has the same formula, but it does go all out in terms of its storytelling, condensing the backstory, and delivering a fun and sometimes gruesome experience. Five Nights at Freddy's is entertaining, but it is not as tightly executed as that Nicolas Cage movie, which I just saw direct to DVD during the pandemic. But overall, I thought Five Nights at Freddy's is just a quirky, fun ride that delivers what it promises. And with the right mindset, you could enjoy this movie. It's nothing really great. In fact, it's really a very dumb, very silly movie, but I do enjoy it, more than these other Blumhouse movies coming out right now. It's just more fun, and that's what a movie should be. You should have fun going to the movies.